All right, legends, you know what time it is. It's Q&A Thursday. Let's jump into it. Welcome to the R.Y.S.E Movement podcast, a place where men just like you learn to raise your standards everywhere. Welcome to another episode of the R.Y.S.E Movement podcast. I'm Dave, and in today's episode of Q&A Thursday, we're going to dive into two questions that have been given by the men in the ecosystem. One of them is talking about relationships and talking about men's behavior changes, and the other one is talking about trauma. I'm going to show you guys a live exercise that you can do yourselves, and I'll put down how to do it into the comments, into the description, so that you can see it, and you'll see exactly what I go through to be able to uncover some things about trauma. So let's start off with the first question. Why do you think so many guys turn into yes men when they're in a committed relationship as opposed to when they are just dating? So the big distinction here that happens is men get lazy. I'm going to say that again. Going from just dating to being in a committed relationship, the work is done. Men get lazy. They get this level of entitlement about them. All of a sudden you go from having to court your woman, to romance her, to take her on dates and show her how fun you are and how exciting and spontaneous and all these things that you just fucking aren't. You go through the honeymoon phase and granted, she's doing shit that she's doing to be able to woo you. She's doing her magic. She's doing things that she's never done before. She's showing how cool she is, how fun she is, how easy to get along she is. That's her. We're talking about us, talking about men. You've changed your behavior. You've gaslit her into thinking that you're something other than you are, which is a lazy bloke who thinks he is entitled to get sex whenever he wants. All of a sudden, your missus is going to turn around and she's going to be like, you used to be like this at the start. What happened to the romance? What happened to this? What happened to that? You used to be like this. And it's because you've gotten complacent and lazy. How do I know that I can say this with such conviction? Ask me how I know. I know this intimately because that's the type of guy that I used to be. The moment that I would get a girl from going through the courtship phase, get her in bed, do what I wanted to her, get what I wanted out of her, I would drop her like a sack of shit. She was no longer interesting to me anymore. She was no longer something that I would pursue because that's the type of dude that I used to be. I've said it many, many times before. Go back to episode 2 of the podcast that talks about how much of a piece of shit that I used to be and the level of just fuckery that I used to bring to women. I was a douche. And as a reformed douche, I know that I used to do this, and I know that there is millions, if not billions, of other men out in the world that do this as well. You gaslit women into thinking that you're one way when you're actually the other. Because it's so much easier just to sit back and be lazy and to, think you can click your fingers and say that, woman, come and you shall satisfy me. That is one of the biggest things that changes in relationships. And I've worked with so many couples that have talked about the spark disappearing from the relationship. The spark hasn't disappeared. You both are just fictitious imaginations that are casting a mask and a persona of what you think is each other's ideals. That's realistically what's going on. All of a sudden you get 6-12 months into a relationship and things fucking flip on their head and it's no longer exciting. It's no longer new. It's no longer, you guys are just dating. Your word has fallen on deaf ears. You're no longer presenting as that idealistic person that you want to be. You've fallen into who you actually are. This honeymoon phase that happens in relationship it's almost a comedy to watch. It's almost hilarious to watch just because the same thing happens over and over. You don't think that you're going to be lazy when it comes to being in a committed relationship? What does that commitment mean? What does commitment mean to you? Like I said in a couple of podcast episodes ago talking about my engagement to Rach, that meant something to me because I was terrified of relationships. I was terrified of getting married because I'd seen so many marriages around me implode. A couple of them exploded. When it comes to being in a committed relationship, regardless if you've taken the traditional vows or not, regardless if you're married or not, if you grab hold of someone and you say, this is my person, I'm doing life with this person, you are my better half, you are my other half, or use any of this terminology. That commitment to them means that it is till death do you part. It is a long-lasting commitment to say that I am with you and you are with me forever. Regardless, we're going to meet in the middle ground. We're going to communicate. We're going to have intimacy, connection, communication, negotiation, and we're going to do this together. We're going to do this together to the best of our abilities. However, a lot of the time we get lazy. Things just fall apart. It's so much easier to let things fall apart and be who you actually are instead of presenting this mask, this fictitious version of you that we do at the start of relationships. I've said it before on the podcast, but when I met Rach and we started dating, started courting and all the rest of the things, I told her straight up, I said, all right, this is what I've got going on, and not to blindside you or trauma dump on you, but this is what I've got going on. I have this, and this. I have baggage. I've got insecurities. I've got, things that I'm working with a counselor on, and blah, 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 blah. I basically laid it all out on the line for her and said, this is your time. This is your off ramp, whether you want to get off or you want to continue dating. And if you want to continue dating, just know that I'm looking for commitment. I'm looking for things in the future to snowball, to be able to get married and have kids and all these sorts of things. I laid it on the line so that I could make sure that the whole time in the relationship, that's the commitment level that I was bringing in. Because I said, I'm done dating. I can't do this anymore. I can't do the consistent pursuing of women, having these multiple conversations, getting ghosted and all this kind of shit. I said, I'm done. I can't do this. And this is back in 2015. I couldn't even imagine what it's like being single now. If you are lucky enough to find a relationship that is worth being in, that you're both committed, you're both, connected, and you've got same interests and all these sorts of things, commit to the relationship to the best of your ability. Go all in onto it. Going all in is one of the most terrifying, riding at the edge of the seat of your pants sort of things you can do in life. Every day that I commit myself to Rach in our relationship, every day that I choose her, I know that I'm going to be a better man because of it. Because I've made that choice. There's 4 billion women in the world, and out of all of them, I choose her. She's my number one. I don't believe in the one, but she is my number one. Because that's the level of commitment that I put into it. That's the level of effort that I put into it. Granted, some days there's going to be extra effort that I put in. Some days there's going to be less. Yesterday was one of those days where I had less. I was meant to get my tattoo finished, but because, as you guys can hear, I'm a little bit under the weather still. And my great friend Ryan, he didn't want to. I'm not going to say this. My great friend Ryan, he didn't want to do the tattoo for reasons. Fair enough. He's the artist. So we've had to rebook. So yesterday, all I did was the kids were at school. They had after school care in the afternoon. Rach picked them up from karate after school care. And then they came home and Rach cooked dinner. I had a very lazy day yesterday. I did 3 lots of fuck all. And it was the first time in a long time that I was giving myself time and space to be able to do 3 lots of fuck all. And then when she got home, I could see she was in a bit of a pissed off mood. So I stopped doing my level of nothing and I helped her out. The level of help that I offered her was just enough so that she could take the weight off her shoulders so that I could, help meet my end of the agreement. She has days where she doesn't want to do anything. She has days where she's, giving a 2 out of 10 instead of a 10 out of 10. And that's okay. That's what the purpose of being in a committed relationship is. To be able to have that communication, negotiation, to be able to have that intimacy and understanding between you to say, hey, look, I'm having a fucking rough time. This is where I'm at. That's beautiful. It's stunning. It's one of the most beautiful, wonderful things about a relationship is that you're doing life with someone else. Someone who understands you inside and out. Someone who knows you better than you probably know yourself. So don't be that type of dick that changes who you are for the relationship. Change for the positive. However, don't gaslight women into thinking that you're something that you're not. That you're spontaneous and that you're, romantic and all these sorts of things. If you're not, be straightforward. She'll be like, look, this is who I am and this is what I'm willing to do. Anything else, we might need to negotiate on it. And that's how open communication in a relationship is supposed to work. All right, I think that's enough on this one. Okay, so the next one, pretty heavy. So I'm probably going to add some background music into this while I'm going through and doing the process for you guys so you can see what's going on. But one of the men has asked, healing deep trauma would be great to dive into more depth with. It's not a question, but it's a good topic. So healing deep trauma. So first place I want to start with this if you guys have trauma in your subconscious, if you guys have experienced trauma or abuse or anything that is triggering, carries emotional baggage to you, that has like a button that you can physically press that brings up emotions and stuff inside of you, first, just know that it's okay to not be okay. I've been not okay for a lot of my life. There's periods of great times and there's periods of low times. Number two, please speak to someone about it. Please speak to a professional. If you've never spoken to anyone before regarding your trauma, regarding abuse, regarding negative emotions, negative thoughts, any of these sorts of things, please reach out to someone. Men's Line is a great place. Lifeline is a great place. Beyond Blue, all these other counseling services that are out there that are free of charge, that all you have to do is call up and to, take your armor off and bare your soul. I strongly recommend that you guys jump into those. If you've gone down the route of calling Men's Line, Lifeline, whatever it is, and you need a little bit extra help, that's okay. That's okay too. Talking with a counselor, talking with a therapist, with a coach, someone who has your best interests at heart to be able to help you thrive instead of survive, help you triumph over tragedy, help you be strong, help you be stronger than you've ever been before by looking at the things voluntarily. That's a good thing. It'd be a great idea if you reached out, if you got out of your own way, if you let go of the things that are causing pain in your life. The second thing, or third thing, I guess now, talking about trauma, is exposure therapy is an amazing thing. If you have things that are triggers, if you have things that are traumatic in your unconscious, looking at them in a way that is voluntary, that you have complete control over the level of exposure, and that it's on your terms whether you want to pursue forward or whether you're done with it and you want to stop. And then understanding that you have this ability to revisit it at a higher level to make you become aware with the charges decreasing in their intensity is a really, really precious thing to do. So one thing that I'm going to take you guys through tonight is you're going to ask a question. Because everyone's got a question on their mind. What is my purpose? What am I doing here? What am I doing in this relationship? I want you to ask a question that is based around what you need to know. It could be traumatic, it could be abuse, it could be something. But that question you're going to ask, I want you to ask why. Why this? And then you're going to write down an answer. So I've got a question in my mind and I'm going to do this in front of you guys. So enjoy the nice meditation music or whatever I put over this when it comes to editing, and sit back and I'm going to read out my things as I go through. Okay, what is my big question at the moment? So the question that I just asked my unconscious is, why am I doing all of this? So all of this is everything that you guys see if you're on YouTube, if you're not, everything that you hear on the podcast with the R.Y.S.E movement, so on and so forth. So why am I doing all this? So the answer that I've got is because I'm sick of seeing and hearing of men taking their own lives and living in quiet desperation. So again, you ask why to that question. so my answer to why am I doing all of this? Because I'm sick of seeing and hearing men taking their own lives and living in quiet desperation. Why? Men have been targeted as the easy blame all instead of every individual having courage and responsibility over themselves to be empowered in facing up to the problems, inefficiencies, oppression, and victimization. It's easier to be a victim. Can't even read my own handwriting. It's easier to be a victim because victimization creates easy emotional hooks for people to bandwagon upon. That's interesting. I haven't actually considered that fact there. This is something that when you're doing writing like this, your unconscious is going to give you what you actually think. So you might be surprised at what comes up, but that's really interesting. Victimization being the easiest thing to hook into for people to bandwagon upon. That's interesting. Okay, so why? Okay, so the answer for why men have been targeted as the easy blame all instead of every individual having courage and responsibility over themselves to be empowered in facing up to the problems, inefficiencies, oppression, and victimization. It's easier to be a victim than because it creates such an emotional hook for people to bandwagon upon. Why? There's always has to be something or someone to blame, so we feel like there is justice and righteousness, even if it is hollow and only partial truths. That's interesting. Very interesting. Okay. Okay, so the answer that I came up with, it's what humans do. We other people to make ourselves feel superior, safer, smarter, to grow our sense of self-importance. So why? Why that? really sad answer. Men are usually the achievers that just grit their teeth and get on with it. Getting on with it at the moment feels like it's an insurmountable task for a lot of men. Without purpose and meaning, they have nothing worth living for. And all of this shit at the moment, it keeps getting thrown back in their face. Whether it's relationships, whether it's at work, you're not valued by your business that you work in, or any of these sorts of things. You got no friends, no connections. It gets all thrown in their face for the effort that they put in, and there's no like, thanks mate, well done, or you're looking good, or you're looking happy, healthy, and all these sorts of things. Like, there's no care shown to men. There's zero fucks given. Everything is men's fault, especially if you're a straight white male. It's your fault. You're the reason for oppression. You're the reason for pain. You're the reason for fucking Me Too. You're the reason for everything. Everything gets thrown back in men's face. And so they end up thinking, why bother? Why bother if I'm not being respected and valued? And that there. That right there, that's the root cause. That's the reason for why I'm asking that question at the moment. I don't even remember what the original question was, but it comes down to respect and to showing them that they have value, showing them that they have worth. That's what this whole movement's about. That's what this fucking logo is about. Men carrying the weight of the world on their shoulders, and every single one of us brothers is doing that. We've got the weight of the world on our shoulders. However, we have to be there for one another. If the world is going to keep throwing shit at us, and we're the ones that are going to just, be the achievers, just keep moving forward, go to work, provide and pay the bills and do all the things that we do, we've all got this weight on our shoulders, and it's up to us brothers to be able to make sure that we're all making it home, that we're all making it to make the next day, to wake up, to be able to do it all again, to live with purpose, to have meaning, to have great relationships, to have connection, to have intimacy, to have all these fucking things, so we can feel respected, so we can feel valued. That's all that we want. And correct me if I'm wrong, men, that's all I want in my life. To know that I am respected, to know that I am valued by those around me. These are the things that fucking matter the most. What was my original question? Why am I doing all of this? All right, let's go through it. Why am I doing all of this? Because I am sick of seeing and hearing of men taking their own lives and living in quiet desperation. Why? Men have been targeted as the easy blame all instead of every individual having courage and responsibility over themselves to be empowered in facing up to the problems, the inefficiencies, the oppression, and the victimization. It's easier to be a victim because victimization creates an easy emotional hook for people to bandwagon upon. Why? There always has to be something or someone to blame so that we feel like there is justice and righteousness, even if it is hollow and only partial truths. Why? It is what humans do best. We other people to make ourselves feel superior, safer, smarter, to grow our sense of self-importance. Why? Men are usually the achievers that just get their things done. They grit their teeth and get on with it. And getting on with it at the moment feels like an insurmountable task for a lot of men, without purpose, without meaning, and have nothing worthy to live for. This is what gets thrown back at them that they have. Then they think, why bother? I'm not worth living. I'm not respected. I'm not valued. Why bother? That's why I do what I do. That's why I do what I do. So just know, to you guys out there, I respect you if you respect yourself. I value you if you value yourself. You're the only one who can really value and respect yourself. You're the only one who can give that to you properly. So make sure you value yourself, make sure you respect yourself, and make sure you fucking know that you are worthy. You're worthy to be here. You're fucking needed right here, right now. You have so much love around you. And if you don't think so, message me, because I can guarantee you I fucking love you. That little exercise that I did took me to some really vulnerable, real places, because I've experienced this myself. This is why I do what I do. This was a little exercise that you guys can do as well, that is allowing you to get to the root cause of your problems. Whatever question you've got rummaging around in your mind, Write down the first answer that comes with it, and then write down why. Whatever answer you come up with, write down why. Do this 5 times. Once you ask why 5 times, you're going to come up with the root cause of the answer. You're going to go back to see what the start question was, and you're going to see the correlation between the two. When you do this, you allow yourself time to be able to integrate and to be able to heal. Right now, I am burning within. I have so much energy inside of me, which is really shit because I'm filming this at 10 o'clock at night. And I've got to wake up at 4:30 for clients tomorrow morning. That's going to be interesting. But I have so much fucking energy inside of myself right now for the mission, for this. This is what I'm here to do. All because I asked myself the 5 whys. I got to the root cause of the question that I've been asking myself lately. Why am I doing this? That's why I'm fucking doing it. That's why I need you guys here with me, doing the RISE movement, raise your standards everywhere. It's so important to do. And just know that us as a brotherhood with the world on our shoulders, we all can do this together. It's going to take all of us to do it together. We're not going to get it through it alone. We need each other. Now more than ever. And more going into the future if we know what's coming. Thank you for being here, man. Much love. Thank you for being with me today. Thank you for subscribing and leaving a review. It really helps us out. Until next time, take care and much love.